Morning everyone. Oh, it's not quite sunny today, is it? Anyway, it means we can get on with a bit more stuff. So today I want to just talk a bit about overload, okay? I think it's quite prudent just to talk about this a little bit because there are, I would say, two lots of runners at the moment. We've got the people that are new to running, who will have done 4 to 5 weeks now of a 0 to 3 program and starting to think, oh, I've got to step up, I've got to improve things and I've got to increase things. And then we've got lots of potential marathon people, so people that were supposed to have been doing a marathon at this time of year and have actually gone out and done one, which is fantastic, and well done, to everyone that's done that. Lots of charity training, lots of charity running going on. However, I just wanted to sort of take a few words and say, if you have done a marathon, remember the rest that you would normally take if you'd raced a marathon. It normally takes a couple of weeks to let your body to recover from the fatigue, from the muscle damage that actually has taken place during a marathon. So really, you should have a week off and then a week's relative rest. So you can do some active rest, you can do a bit of walking or swimming, but really you should give your body that time to recover. And for everybody that's done the 0 to 5k challenge, fantastic, you'll have done amazingly. You've probably got to your 5k now and probably thinking about what's next. So what I would suggest is don't start thinking about increasing things too much. Now is a really, really good period to consolidate. So you've got your sort of 5k, you can run 5k maybe with a couple of walks or straight off, but just do that a couple of times a week. Make a couple of runs easier, a couple of runs that actually you can do, a couple of runs that you can do comfortably, that aren't too difficult, and just allow your body just to adapt and just get used to just doing that sort of distance and that sort of training. And actually that's really important. You've gone do, so you've done a lot of increases, and actually it's quite nice just to stay there and only make one of your runs or two of your runs 5k a week and make a couple of runs easier. And that's actually really, really important. Don't forget the strength work. I think now is a really, really good time. You could maybe look back at some of the videos and think, okay, I've done marathon training. I did a virtual mile yesterday, so I'm a bit tired. People are just doing different things. You've added a bit of speed work in there. And this is when your body's a little bit vulnerable, right? Okay, so this is where if you keep push, things injure, things break. You could end up with a sort of a chronic overload injury. Lots of the ones we've talked about, your Achilles, your knee, ITB, all those sorts of things where things gradually build up, where you're just a little bit tired every run and things gradually get tighter and tighter and tighter. Or your muscles could just be completely overloaded. Say, let's take my right calf. I know that that's not quite as strong as my left one. So if I go and try some sprints today, that's probably very unwise because it's going to be tired. It's done something a bit quicker yesterday, and that's where I'm likely to tear it. So have a think about that overload scenario that you might well be in, and think, right, okay, I've done 5 weeks of hard training now, because I've gone into lockdown, and I think, right, okay, I've got to keep fit, I've got to keep strong, and just think, right, let's have an easier week. Let's reassess what my strength works like, what my mobility is like, and think, right, go through sort of some of that upper back mobility, go through the lower back mobility, go through see what your hamstrings and your hip flexors are like, some of the key areas for running. If your hip flexors are tight and you can't extend, I've talked about this lots, but you're not going to be able to run properly. You need that hip extension to allow your glutes to fire, to give you that range. So don't forget, just check, what's that hip extension like? Go onto one leg and think, oh, it's really tight on that side, but actually it's okay on that side. Go back to your knee to wall test and think, right, okay, I can put my foot there and I can get my knee to the wall, but on that foot, I can't do it from that point. It's much tighter. And then think, right, what can I do about that? My hip's a little bit tight. What did Sarah say? Oh, get into your lower back a little bit, release that, do some work there, foam roll on my quad, and just work through some of the logical processes. Where is it coming from? So if your quad's tight, maybe your lower back's a little bit tight. If your calf's tight, what's your ankle like? Go back and mobilise your ankle. have you lost your core? It's very, very likely that if you did a marathon yesterday, or you've done 100 laps of your garden or whatever, that your core has just gone because it's tired, it's done a lot of work, it's switched off, okay? Go back and just think, right, how do I reset my easy core? Don't go back and do some really, really high level hard exercises, because it won't be able to cope with them. But if you go back and reset your core and just turn your glutes on, turn on your lower abdominals, and just tell that part of the body what you're supposed to be doing. Go back to those easy glute bridges and those leg lowers, and just start setting it. So I think this week is a really, really good week for everyone, just to reset the body. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about acute injuries. We talked about sprained ankle, which we can then relate exactly the same to the knee. So if you twist your knee or your ankle and you go over on something, you know, you've got to respect it. You've got to give it a little bit of rest for 48 hours. You know, stay off it as much as you can, let it heal. So I wanted to talk a bit more today about acute muscle injuries. So some of the sort of the main areas we get with muscle injuries are in runners tend to be calf, hamstring and quad. They're your sort of three, you know, key areas. And why does a muscle tear? A muscle tears because it can't cope with what you're asking it to do, right? It's likely to be very fatigued. It's likely to be fatigued and overloaded. You might have lost your form. It might be tired. But, you know, essentially, if that muscle can't cope with what you're asking it to do, it will tear, okay? How do I know if a muscle's torn? You will have sudden pain, okay? If a muscle is, if it's an overload injury and it's sort of microfiber tears, then it gradually creeps on, and you'll feel it at, you know, maybe at the beginning of the run and then after the run, and it's a gradual process. If you've torn a muscle, you will know, right? Bang, you know, a bit like, you know, you look around and it's a classic, you know, somebody's, you know, who shot me in the leg, you know, that's the classic sort of Achilles calf tear. I mean, hopefully you don't get to this point, and I think the whole point of all these talks is just to try and, you know, while you can't get physio, you can't get any treatment, is just see if you can all maintain your bodies. I don't want you all to be having these sort of, you know, acute injuries. I don't want you to break. I actually want you to be able to sort of maintain your running and maintain things with stretching, with mobility, with strength work, and just with understanding your bodies a bit more. So hopefully we don't have a calf tear, but if we did have a calf or a hamstring tear, what do you do? Okay, stop, right? Don't try and run home. Hopefully most of you run with a phone these days. Just get somebody to come and pick you up. Don't try and run home, right? If you've cut your finger, okay, with a knife, right? If you keep opening it, what happens? It bleeds more, and the scar the cut opens more, and it gets worse and worse and worse, right? If you've torn some fibres inside your leg, no, you can't see them. However, if you've torn them, every time you pull that muscle and pull those fibres, that little tear will get worse and worse and worse. So if you've done a small grade 1 tear in your calf or your hamstring and you try and run home, by the time you get home, it will be a worse tear, okay? That's really, really important. Because it can be the difference between 2 weeks off or 4 to 6 weeks, right? So then you've got home, get some ice on it. There's all sorts of talk about ice, but you know, it's not going to do any harm. So get a bag of frozen peas on that area. If you can, a light compression bandage, not too tight, but the key is get the leg up, okay? I prefer price rather than rice, and I prefer that prevention, which is what all the things we've just talked about, but you know, these things happen, right? So rice, rest, okay, get off it, okay? For 48 hours, walk as minimally as possible, just to let that area heal. Rest, ice, compression, elevation, okay? 48 hours, you know, just stay off it. And then it's all about just some gentle movement, okay? You know, if you can walk pain-free, just a little bit of easy walking, just a little bit of gentle movement. So if it's your hamstring, just start doing some very, very gentle kicking, you know, and just think, right, okay, I can only kick that part of the range pain-free. So you'd be lying on your tummy, okay, like this, and you think, right, okay, I can do kicking in that part of the range, and actually that's okay. I can't do that yet, but that's my starting point, and that's where I'll just start, because actually Muscles like a little bit of movement, and scar tissue, you know, which is what you'll have building up in the muscle, if you don't stimulate it to stretch long ways and width ways, it'll heal as a big ball. Okay, so it's quite important to do very low level exercises and some very gentle stretching. However, we don't go to the point of anywhere near pain, and we don't have any pain after. Okay, so it's all very low level, and we've gone through all the low level exercises. You know, that's one of the key things. You know, calf, sitting on a chair, doing 2 feet calf raises before you even start doing them standing up. You know, hamstrings, you know, just doing some very easy kicking, just doing some very easy 2-leg glute bridge. That's all very low level stuff. You know, you can do that. You can do your core work. That's all fine. You know, keep on your core and your mobility. So keep going with all that. But you know, just keep it really low level, and just start thinking, right, if I stretch it and I contract the muscle, you know, even if you're just doing some isometric, just pushing your foot into the floor and holding it, I think, okay, I can do that, that doesn't hurt. That's just very gently just stretching that muscle out, okay? And then you just do a little bit of stretches. So you're stimulating that scar to stretch out widthways and lengthways, and that's important. And it's really important to incrementally load things. It's much better than resting things completely. Because if you rest completely, you'll end up with a big hard scar that you've then got to stretch out that's quite stiff, okay? So acute injury, price, okay? Prevention is your key, okay? Most people, I think about taking an easy week this week. You won't like me for saying it. However, if you look back at your training, hopefully you've all written down your training so you know exactly what you've done. You'll think, oh, I've actually had 4 or 5 weeks of quite hard training. I think, you know, I haven't been able to see Sarah for a checkup. I haven't been able to see my normal physio. I haven't been able to have a soft tissue massage. My body's probably a bit fatigued. So just think, bit of time out, okay? So you don't have to rest from running, just unless you've done a marathon, of course, yesterday. Just think a little bit about taking an easier week, okay? Right, see you tomorrow, folks.